Hello everyone and welcome to our I Pick My Butt video, more Survivor.io and the challenges, the new addition to the game where we get our cool little avatars, mega challenges. We're going to be showing you the city challenge today on the free-to-play account, also known as Smell My Balls, if you saw the video from the other day. Now there's a couple of key things in here that I would suggest, and I do want to say I almost spent money on this because I tried this so many times. I used up all my free revives and I was forced to buy gems, and I said, you know what? I'm not gonna do it. I played a couple more times. I went and collect every single video ad I could watch to have like 250 gems, and I even did the quick raids because these don't cost energy at all. So doing 2 quick raids got me to level up, gave me another 100 gems, and it was easy as that. Now this challenge is very challenging. They all are. I actually tried to skip over this one and do the farm one because I saw that FaZe Cast has made one too on it, and the farm one, it's insane at the 9-minute mark. I can't even explain it. You'll just have to see it, try it yourself. You don't want to do it. It's a nightmare, especially being free to play. We're limited on the gear that we can use. Now, I do recommend you go in with a DPS style weapon, meaning that either you go for the revolver, you go for the kunai, or even the shotgun eventually evos into a DPS style one. Obviously, you know what I'm going for here. Kunai was the way to go. I did try it with the bat, but it was just too much of a struggle when it came to the final boss inside it. For all you complainers out there, I think Maui said it best as you're welcome, because we are shooting in portrait mode here. And just a little quick thing, if you guys like portrait mode, should I be doing all my free-to-play videos in portrait mode? Let me know in the comments below, or do you like the regular format? Obviously, if I'm doing a kind of technical, descriptive video, we're going to be having it in landscape mode. But let me know, if you like it in portrait, we'll see about doing all the free-to-play ones in portrait mode. Now, a couple key things to know here is when you first start off into this, you're going to get hit with 40% movement speed, and all enemies are going to have a shield. The first boss is going to be 3 minutes, the second boss is going to be 6 minutes, and the final bosses are going to be 10 minutes, which I should say bosses for number 6 too, because there's 2 of them. As far as the 2 main abilities that you're going to want to get in this is going to be Guardian, because you're going to be blocking projectiles, and then the Molotov. The reason behind that is poison, and it doesn't really sound like a typical thing you're going to go for, but the problem is when you get to the 3-minute mark and you beat the final boss, you now have unlimited magnet range, meaning that every time you kill everything, or maggots, bombs, food, it's all going to get sucked into you immediately. The other one that's going to come with that, though, is any damage taken is going to be an instant death. And that's strictly from mobs. If you have an elite that comes in and does some damage to you, it's just going to be regular damage, so don't panic too much. And same thing with bosses, so you don't have to go undefeated on the bosses or the elites. But if a mob gets you, or you walk through that poison, guess what? You're dead and you're stuck to revive. Now, as far as the revives itself, we are wearing the Eternal suit that we got for free from the 7-day challenge, and then from there I believe you get 3 more revives that you can use. So you can either use gems or you can use your free revives if you have those. Unfortunately, I burned a good amount of them up and I didn't have any left, and that's like I said earlier, I almost bought gems and I remembered it was the free-to-play account. And in case you missed it back there, the 1-minute mark is where you're going to get your first elite. Nothing really to worry about, but I really recommend you try these first 3 minutes to not get hit at all, just to kind of get the feel of knowing that you're going to try to dodge and play as most carefully as you can. And if you can, try to get your evo for your weapon up first, but still try to prioritize Molotov and also the Guardian. Now with the final bosses, we are going to need to get some other items too, or abilities. So lightning emitter is always a good way to go. This boss right here, nothing to worry about. I just kind of play this as cool as I can. I knew I was going to be on camera for this, so I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to like hang out, be chill on this, and try not to take any hits. And then eventually I got hit on it too, so scratch that idea. But good things to go for, lightning emitter, because we're going to have the cooldown to go with the energy cube with it. If you can, rocket's always a good way to go, and even soccer ball too. I did try to get drill. I don't really remember everything I got in this because I played this like 15 times trying to beat it, and realistically the last 15 seconds is going to be insane, especially you need to have that Guardian Lightning, or not Guardian Lightning, the Guardian and the Molotov, because you're going to get the kind of the flying enemies that kind of push other enemies into you, those ones right there, and they get really crazy and enemies are just on top of you at that last 15-20 seconds or so. So realistically here, we're just trying to make a little bit of a breakaway anytime I can, I'm going to try to stand on my fire from the Molotov just to make sure, hey, this is a little bit of a safe spot for me. And I think I do end up dying a couple of times, maybe to a lead or so, just being, careful. This was going to be the last time I ran this before I said, you know what? I'm done with this. No video day. We're going to go play some Modern Warfare 2 and start grinding our weapons on that. But luckily, we made it through on here and we were good to go. We did evo our weapon pretty late though, if I remember if this is the correct one, which did make it a little bit difficult, but having that evoed pretty quick really does help out too. But you can see it's going to take a lot of fancy footwork just trying to find your way through and find that open area. But be careful with it. Play it out slow and just kind of see where it goes. Now, soccer ball, yes, that is going to help too with, the mobs getting close, but there was other times I made it to the final boss and I didn't have that. So lightning emitter, even the rockets are good. If you can evo the drill, that's another good one, but you really just got to kind of plan it out and figure out what you're going to do. And for me on the final boss, it was kind of running back and forth. When we show you the 6-minute boss here, I'll kind of show you a little bit more of what my thinking was and how I prepared for it, or not really prepared, but what I did inside the battle. But from here, we're just trying to gain as much biofuel as we can, work our way through, and just find that safe spot. Now, with these things being free on energy, if you don't get the Molotov or get the Guardian, just start it over. Don't even try to play it without it. I promise you on that. With the fact of taking a single hit and the enemies mobbing in on you, it's not worth it. Just reset it, go back in until you at least get one of each of those so you can upgrade them later on. You're pretty much going to be able to evo all those things. I didn't go for Destroyer or any of the mines in this, so it's tough to say, if you'd be able to get it from there. But pretty much if you just go for regular items we normally would that aren't going to go and open up an extra slot, you'll be able to evo every single one of them. And you might not be able to get everything that you want in it. One of the other things I did try to go for was attacking a lot of these, just because the bosses at the end, they're a pain. You'll see it's the one that throws his head off of him there, and then the one that is the gunner guy that, runs back and forth and then shoots. And luckily, I don't think the projectiles were bouncing on this one, but it's still annoying because they really squash down the amount of room that you can move. It's kind of like one of the up and down boards, but it's turned sideways on it. So just to throw an extra element of just confusion and uncomfortableness in there, it really makes things difficult to go. So you can see here, we're just kind of still working it, and we're just planting those fire bombs out there. Or I shouldn't call them fire bombs because there's actually a fire bomb out there now. But we're just kind of planting it through, making our way up. And the 6-minute boss is going to be the Sapphire Worm A, I think it is. And then we're going to have, you'll see him in a second. I try so hard to remember the names of all these enemies, but I'm a very simple-minded person that I'm just like, oh, it's the pink guy, and it's the other pink one that kind of looks like a turtle with spikes coming out of his shells. There's not a lot going on in my brain, but here we go. We're going into them. And so what I do is I go for the one that's right there coming at me. I try to get rid of that one first because that'll shoot the projectiles out that will bounce off the wall and come back. Those little ones that it just shot at me, those are just going to get blocked with the Guardian there. But if I can, I'll try to get rid of him first. The other things, the blue ones, they're not really too much of a trouble. And obviously the red bombs that he's planting aren't really that anything to worry about. So if we get this one out of the way, like we just did, now we can just kind of camp out and play safe on this here. I'm trying to think what the actual abilities were. I think after this one, I think we gained increased attack, and then the other thing is it says that time is going to speed up. I don't really notice any difference in the time up at the top on the clock of it. I don't know if they mean like the time of the enemies, but we'll take a look here. It looks like it's still kind of ticking the same once we get done going through all these extra things that we get out of here. So I don't know, I could put it by side, but I'm shot in portrait mode right now, so I can't give those type of information to you to see inside the video. But you can see here, we're gonna start getting overwhelmed, and this is where you want to go and say, hey, I need to find that safe spot out. Luckily, we finally got the shuriken evolved, because up to this point I was going, man, if I don't get that, it's going to be game over, because it really is going to start shredding through and help you kind of clear that way. The other thing I'm doing too is I'm trying to work mostly to the right or the left. Just because of those flying ones, I've gotten squashed by them so many times coming in. I said, let's just be safe. Let's try working it to the right or left and see if we get less worry of having those things come run right into us but it didn't really make too much of a difference. Now, when elites come out, what I'll try to do is work myself away from them and then have the Guardian just kind of hit them and pile onto them if I can. With him walking away, the Shuriken's going to kind of just go and aim for what's in front of me, so it's not really going to hit too much, so it can just kind of cause those things to trail and follow you for a little bit. Now we got the soccer ball there, and as much as it does work well in other chapters, I didn't really see a big impact of it, but it is nice just to kind of have to know, hey, I can push him away. But without having it, I still got to the final boss with it, so choose your abilities as how you want to. I didn't really notice any big difference on the final boss either with using it, but realistically, as I always say, we want to get this Guardian, we want to get this Molotov evoed. I don't think we actually evoed the Guardian on this, so I think we ran out of room, and that's where I was doing some pretty good thinking here of like, oh man, this is it. We're not going to be able to evo the Guardian, and I was kind of thinking, what's going to be the best bet on it here? Obviously, doing the heal or the energy drink, not really going to serve us any purpose right now. The bosses were one-hitting me at the end, and I said, you know, damage reduction or health, and I said, you know, let's just go health. We'll get that evoed, and we'll have double the health on this. The other thing to keep in the back of your head, too, is supposedly all of our stats don't really matter in this. Yes, the gear will matter of what you have put on. If I could, I would have gone a shiny wrist guard on it. Is that the one I was always using? The one that gives you the bubble around you. Shiny waist guard, that's what it is. I would go for that just to kind of have that extra protection in there. Without having it on this account, I don't know if the actual shield is going to stop with that single hit. I imagine it would. It only makes sense on it. But other than that, I still would go kunai. I'd still go internal suit. I might, if I had them, go for the eternal gloves on it. And then for the boots, I don't know if I'd probably either go light runner or I'd go eternal boots, but either one of those two would probably be a good way to go. And then necklace, I don't really know what I'd go for necklace. I'd probably go all eternal if I had all eternal, but let's be honest, I only got 2 pieces of it for what we have so far, and that's the waist, and that is the eternal suit on it. Now, as far as the gloves I'm using, I am using the fingerless ones. Are those the ones that kind of cause all the enemies to blow up together? I think that was what it is. I pretty much just used whatever I had. I did go and kind of just take whatever other items I had and just try to see if I could take them to +1 or +2. But we're still doing like 20 damage, which means none of those extra upgrades in it really matter. But the actual base stats of them, you know, the benefits of having that gear seems to be like that's what's going to do it. Because obviously we died and we revived, so it worked for the eternal armor. It's going to work for the other things also. So this is what I was saying about we're pretty much going to be able to evo everything up on it. And now we're coming into the final minute. So you'll see here, it's starting to get a little crowded. I said, yep, let's just keep on moving to the right there. We'll try to break free. And you'll see how those things start pushing us in. They're going to just kind of go and just shove whatever enemy is in me. I think I actually ended up taking the death up here in a second because, bam, one of those things got me. And I was like, oh, great. I was really hoping to save that for the final bosses. If you can, you want to save as many lives as you can for those final bosses because they are annoying. And it really seemed like if I just kind of stood here, I might have been better off and just kind of move around on it. It seemed like the other time I played this, I had the increased range. I went with the rocket, and I don't think did we evo the rocket on this? I don't really remember. But it seemed like it was kind of filling the circle a little bit more. And if I just kind of stay there and camp out, it was okay. And I really feel like I'm just kind of wasting these things because we're full health, it's one hit. But that's what you get when you have unlimited range. So this last 15 seconds here, you'll start seeing them kind of really squash down on me. And it gets a little hectic, but luckily I had a little bit of an opening up top, so that's why you see me kind of just inching towards that way on it. But here comes a moment where we're going to run into these annoying guys, and I believe I took some gem cost hits here. So I'm just trying to run from one side to the left and to the other, and obviously dodge this head here, which isn't too terrible, but bam, got me right there, and there's going to be the first gem purchase on it. Really, left to right, and just obviously dodge bullets. The bullets aren't going to bounce off the wall, which makes things a little bit easier, but you do have to get out of the way of that head, which that's where the soccer ball does kind of help out too, is just having that little bit of increased speed by picking the shoes, and we're working our way. Once we got one of them down, it's like, okay, I'm just going to dodge these bullets and we can just kind of work it here. But he still is annoying. I'm not gonna lie, I do hate this one too. I thank God they don't put that raging bull in this tiny little area, but it is definitely squashed. So that's how I did it. If you have any questions, let me know down below, and now we'll get a cool little avatar icon out of it. So this is what I have for you guys. Let me know if you're struggling with this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, join the Discord if you haven't already, and remember, I pick my butt.